Hi, I'm Randy Robison. Welcome to Life Today TV. I am thrilled to have a couple here that I consider friends. An MMA fighter and someone who's done some work in some extraordinary places. Welcome, Justin and Emily Wren. Glad to have you guys.
Thanks for having us.
So I'm going to mention the book, Fight for the Forgotten. Some amazing, amazing stories. You just need to go out and get it. I'll just say that now. And we'll talk a little bit about some of that, but I want to start with the fighting. Yeah. So you came back, you left fighting for a while, you came back, had your first fight, got the win.
Yes, sir.
Well done, I enjoyed watching that. And we're expecting another fight here. We'll have to check. Will you post that on your website or Facebook page?
Yeah, it'll be on fightfortheforgotten.com or my Facebook page for sure.
Yeah, and you've got like a 5-fight deal right now. Isn't that correct? Yeah.
So 4 more fights under contract, and I'm excited about it. They'll all be on Spike TV, free TV. Everyone can tune in, and I like that because sometimes the pay-per-views you really have to pay, $40, $50 each. Yeah. But this is on free TV. Everyone can enjoy it, and I'm excited. I took a 5-year layoff, and honestly, after the first fight, it felt like I had a full 5-year layoff.
Really?
It felt like I had been in a car wreck or something afterwards. Just my body, it wasn't in the...
Kind of looked like it.
Kind of looked like it?
Kind of looked like it.
So, okay, I have a question, because I heard a story that you generally don't make eye contact with people outside the arena while you're fighting, right? Because why would you? Was it in this last fight that you did?
Yeah, I never consciously made eye contact with anybody in a fight. You're engaged in the fight, focus on the fight. And there was this weird moment where, we were swinging and really engaged in a fight, and we had a quick break where I'm pushing him up against the wall and kind of the cage, and I look out, and the first person I see is Emily. And this was her first fight to ever see me fight, because I'd taken 5 full years off. She didn't even know what mixed martial arts or UFC fighting was when we first started dating. She thought I did maybe Tai Bo.
It was like a workout. I was like, that's
like
cool.
A workout deal.
They were really, I was like
Yeah,
Zumba.
like Zumba.
And he's like,
Yeah, I'm like, I kind of get to do it professionally as a sport. And, but yeah, I looked out and I saw her, and I hadn't seen she had a new outfit on, and I instantly was like, wow.
I like how he noticed that in the middle of the fight.
That is crazy.
Yeah.
Like,
and I noticed a new outfit, and I'm like, wow, and I literally consciously thought, she's beautiful. Yeah. And then all of a sudden the guy's swinging at me, and I'm like, oh, I'm gonna fight, get back in it. Yeah. But I saw her, and
my point of view is like he's frozen, and like we're looking at each other, and I'm like, can he see me? And then I'm like, go, keep going.
So I saw her going, go! And so I'm like, oh yeah, get back in it.
Slow motion.
Yeah, so it was quite fun for her, first time being in that world. And really getting back into fighting. A lot of Christians, they ask, how can you be a professional fighter and hit people for a living and call yourself a Christian? And, I think that it's truly an opportunity and a platform for me to be a light in a dark place. Yeah. And then also I'll tell them a lot of times that I read the Bible and I see different spiritual gifts listed, and one's the spiritual gift of laying on of hands. Maybe that one's mine.
I think maybe the interpretation is a little odd. Might want to go to the Greek on that one.
That's a little bit more of a joke.
There's a few fighters in the Bible.
Yeah, absolutely. And the warriors. Absolutely. And Jacob wrestled an angel, and that was my background was
wrestling.
It was wrestling. Yeah. So the Olympic sport of wrestling and mixed martial arts, it combines the Olympic sport of judo and the Olympic sport of wrestling and boxing, and puts it all into one sport, and then you get to test it out. And it can be misinterpreted.
Well, it just looks brutal.
It does. It looks brutal, but at the same time, if we can accept NFL football as a sport, they are running full speed and blindsiding people.
Yeah, they have pads
with metal
and helmets,
metal on their face, and boom. But if you look at the concussion rates too,
it's higher.
NFL guys get hurt so much more than my sport does.
Yeah.
Now I'm not saying mine's better or anything like that. I'm just saying that for me, it's a human chess match, and you really have a lot of strategy going into it, and so you try to outsmart your opponent. And,
So you're okay with it? You don't feel like God condemns you for fighting?
I don't.
In fact, He's blessed you.
I believe so, and I stepped out of it for 5 full years right after I gave my life to Christ 5 years, 5 months, and 15 days ago exactly, and I stepped out of the sport for 5 years, 2 months, and I really kind of wrestled with that and thought I had killed that desire and stepped away from the sport and did missions work in the Congo, and that's where the book kind of really focuses on. But I felt like when I came back and we had the team set up, that it was an opportunity and a platform to share what God is doing in the Congo. And I thought I could only do one or the other. I could fight against people or I could fight for people. And I would never trade fighting against people for fighting for people.
Yeah,
you know, God led me to this. And I thought I could just do one passion. But now I think I was selling definitely myself, and most definitely selling God short, because he can combine those passions.
Absolutely.
They can complement each other, build each other up. And if I can be a fighter for 5 more years and set up the ministry in Congo for the next 50 years, then I think that's a beautiful thing.
Yeah, win-win. Emily, what do you think about the fighting now that you've actually seen him in the ring?
You know, as long as he wins, as long as I tell him to get it done in the first round, so I don't have to. This one I sat through all, so there's 3 rounds, and so it was all 3. So at least
15 minutes of fighting.
Been through, yeah. So if I can sit through 3, then maybe the next one won't be as long.
Slowest 15 minutes ever, right?
Yeah.
Seriously.
Felt like it for me in there too. I was like, hey, this is a long 15 minutes. I don't remember it being this long.
So you're training right now, training harder, trying to get to peak condition?
Yeah, absolutely, and trying to get the ring rust off. You know, I know that there's a stage I got to build myself back to where I was before I left the sport, and then I really want to get beyond that too. And I mean, if God tells me to stop fighting tomorrow and I don't have peace about it, I will. I don't want to have any pride and hang on to anything, and I want to go out when he wants me to leave. But I've seen fighters coming to know the Lord through fighting, me coming back to it, and fans and other people that literally had really wrestled and believed they were atheist. But then through me trying to show them a real side of it, not a religious fake side of it, but just to love them and say, hey, God wants us to just love God and love people, and seeing people's hearts soften to that.
So you quit right about the time you got saved, correct?
Yeah, a few months after.
So a lot of these guys, I bet they knew you before.
Oh yeah, and they knew me as a completely different guy.
And that's my question. They seeing the difference?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I got kicked off my fight team because of my drug addiction. I was with one of the best fight teams in the world, and they all thought, you know, hey, we got to get him help and get him rehab and get him this and that and the other. And a year after you know, getting clean and finding the Lord, you know, everyone was inviting me back, wanting me to come back, but I said, hey, I think God's got other plans for me, and tried to just encourage them from a distance. But now, coming back in that world, they absolutely know, hey, I'm not this depressed, drunk, drug addict.
Yeah.
You know, I'm completely different. And I had a heart change, and I know that, and I think they see that, but also I think they can see because God works from the inside out. I think they can see the things that's happening in Congo and other places, and I think they're drawn to that.
Yeah, oh, it's got to be at least be a curiosity for them.
Oh yeah, I have people asking a lot. Conversation starter, you're a different dude.
Yeah.
I'm like, hey, that's the biggest compliment.
Oh, they have no idea how different, right? Yeah. Okay, so you mentioned the Congo. You've been, Justin the Viking, as they know you in the fighting world, has been working with pygmies in the Congo, which almost sounds like the lead into a joke, right? You went to the Congo.
I did for about 3 months of the year that he was there.
How did that change the way you view life in general?
Oh,
it's a different world over there.
It really is. I can't explain. It's almost hard to believe that people live like that, and even like slavery. You know, it seems like, oh, that's not around anymore, but it's so prevalent, even more so now than it ever was.
The stat is 27 million slaves are estimated to be on planet Earth today. That's more than ever in human history, and that was something that we're working hand in hand with people that are living under, slave masters.
Are the majority in Africa? Or is it Africa, the Middle East?
Yeah, kind of all over the world. And I know that at least probably hundreds of thousands of that statistic are the Mabuti Pygmies in eastern Congo.
So give us the short version of exactly what it is you are doing in the Congo.
Yeah, so the first couple times I went, I actually had no clue. I felt like God just said, go and see. I didn't know who the Pygmies were, really, and I didn't know how they lived. But when I got there, I just fell in love with them. It was an instant heart connection. And so that's why I was given my name. Maybe the fight name is the Viking, but now I'm Efeosa Mabuti Mangbo, and Efeosa was my name the family gave me. And my family in the Congo gave me, and it means the man who loves us. And that means the most to me. But now my fight name's actually changed to the Mabuti Mangbo, the meaning, and the meaning is the big pigmy. And so
The big
pygmy is the.
What's really funny about that is that
Big white pygmy.
Yes, the big white pygmy. There, I guess, in some of the villages that we were at, there were a couple of babies that were born, a couple at the ones that we were at, and they were boys, and everyone was named Justin Mabuti Mangbo. So there are these little
three
babies,
little boys
these
in
little
different
pygmies
villages.
that their names are Justin the Big Pygmy.
Yeah.
What does it do for you?
there.
I mean, how does it?
I mean, it's such a kind of an honor and a blessing because, I mean, that's in Edikwakwa and Babofi and Mabakulu. Those are the three villages where these little boys are named after me, and it was the way that their father or the chief or the mother would come to me and say, you know, we don't have anything to give you back. And I'm like, you know, you never had to give me anything back. But so to lead back to that question, what are we doing there? God's led us to do land, water, and food in the Congo, and just loving them like I believe Jesus would love them. And before, when we got there, they had no land of their own, and we had fundraised enough for 300 acres of land to give them legally in their name and to drill 2 water wells. But now God's multiplied that to 2,470 acres of land.
Oh, wow.
By the end of this year, it'll be 3,000. And that's 10 times what we had planned for, prepared for, fundraised for. And we, 2 days ago, just drilled our 26th water well. And
The significance of the land is that they can then be either get out of slavery or bought out of slavery and have a place to live, correct?
I would say get out and not bought out, because we never want to put, our method and model is never putting a price on someone's head, because we don't want to create a market for it or an economy to be bought out. But what we want to do is bargain and petition and love both sides, the oppressed and the oppressor, the slaves and the slave master. And so buying the land is an awesome opportunity because it softens the hearts and the pocketbook of the slave master. They benefit financially because we actually buy the land back from them. It's land that they stole. And in Congo, the Pygmies are the first people of Congo. Yet they, a lot of times, are denied citizenship, land rights, I mean, everything, and enslaved because the trees are being cut down and the animals are scared and they're hunter-gatherers. So their way of life is taken away from them and they're made very vulnerable. And so to be able to come in there and buy the land back from one side and give it back to the other benefits them financially, it benefits them by having land for the first time in their name. Then we cast the vision, and if they catch the vision, we say, after the land, we're going to do water for both sides. So, and we come in there and we simultaneously drill with our 2 well drilling teams, water for the slave master and water for the slaves, and by that time, former slave master and former slaves, and it's a beautiful thing. And after that, we have an agriculture program where we do a farming project for the Makapala, the non-pygmies. We teach them how to plant their seeds farther apart or deeper so they produce more fruit. And with the pygmies on their own land, we teach them how to farm it for the first time. So
You're changing the world over there.
it's changed my world, being able to be a part of it and watch God do it and multiply it, and for us to both be a part of that. Even Emily's got her own name in the Pygmy villages, and it's kind of cool if you want to say a little bit of that. Emily at first, it was her first camping trip ever in the Congo.
That's quite the camping trip.
Yeah.
Just wanted to go hard.
And she kind of had a little bit of struggle with, do I really fit here? She fell in love with the people, but go ahead and.
Yeah, when he told me he was going to go for a year, I'm not what you would call like an outdoorsy person. I appreciate the outdoors.
That's
but
beyond outdoorsy.
Thank you for acknowledging that. It really is. And so I just didn't know what my place was. And so I kind of struggled with that when he said he was going. I was like, okay, Lord, like, how do I fit into this? And am I chosen to be a part of this? Am I chosen to be his wife? Or am I just someone that, like, am I chosen for this huge plan that you have in Congo, or could I just be anyone that's know, marrying him and taking along with.
And do I belong here? Because
And
she was
do I
sleeping
belong
in the
there?
twig and leaf huts and sleeping
know?
on the dirt.
So,
I'd be asking myself if I belong there too.
Yeah.
Right. So what'd you find out?
so it was really awesome. Like we weren't expecting this at all, but one of the last nights that we were there, the elders, a group of men who like sweetest, some of our favorite men, pygmies, were all around the fire.
Yeah, the chief and Bajanji, one of her favorite guys, and Kaptula, one of both of our favorite guys, but he was a dear friend of mine. He's since passed. But they were the three that gave her her pygmy name.
So they gave me the name Lusume Kumuteli, and Lusume means chosen, and Kumuteli means belongs here.
Oh, wow.
So it was such an amazing moment. I just know that that was God just giving me those names and just confirming that, like, yes, like I'm chosen, and yes, I belong there, and it's just incredible.
They're no longer forgotten as long as you're around, huh?
Yeah, and that was the first name that they told me, that was their identity. The chief pulled me aside and said, everyone calls us the forest people, but we call ourselves the forgotten. And that just wrecked me. And I'd already felt that and even saw it in a vision. I know that sounds crazy, but I heard the word forgotten whenever I had seen them. And, you know, shortly after that, they pulled me aside and say, they are forgotten. My jaw dropped. And I just felt through prayer that, you know, the fighter side of me, God made me a fighter for a specific reason. It wasn't a mistake. He gave me that fighter's heart for a purpose, and that I was supposed to fight for them because people are worth fighting for. And I had become family with the Mabuti Pygmies. And to fight for them.
Amazing stuff, and I know we've just scratched the surface. Get the book, Fight for the Forgotten, and check out their website, fightfortheforgotten.com. You can find out about his fighting, both in the ring and in the Congo, and maybe see how you can support what he's doing. It's just some amazing stuff. And again, the book has so many amazing stories. I know some of them, and you just need to get it. You just need to get it. Finally, thank you guys for being here.
Yeah, thank you.
But I also want to mention that they are on Life Today. You can hear more from Justin and Emily. You can see that program right now at lifetoday.org.